Hello, hello, everybody. It is Saturday, November 16th. I'm so glad to see everybody. I've missed you. I see you, Ricky, Forrest, Lisa B. Jeepin, Chinny, Lily, Polly. Thank you guys so much for being here. Uh, I haven't been able to stream this week because I've been taking my roommate to work, and then I decide to go to work too because my job is right down the street from his. So that's what I've been doing with my mornings. And of course, there's always a bunch of crazy stuff going on. So I've been working a lot and I've been on the computer a lot, and my eyes are bothering me. So you might see me put some eye drops in. My eyes feel dry and swollen, and that's always fun. But anyway, all right. So, of course, even though I've been on a break, the world definitely does not take a break. There's always crazy shit going on. Lots of homicides all over the country, mostly with younger people. Some updates on a Texas execution, missing women, and a bunch of stuff going on all over the world. I have stuff from outside the USA today too. All right, so let me pull up my playlist. Don't yell at me. I'm not ready for that. Okay. All right, so let me get the video. All right, so we've discussed Robert Robertson. He was scheduled for an execution, but there was a stay for the execution until there was more of an investigation, and he testified and all this other stuff. So he was convicted of murder of a baby with shaken baby syndrome, but they were looking more into that because the science has changed with shaken baby syndrome. So it looks like the Texas Supreme Court has decided to go ahead with the execution. So I'm not sure what the evidence was. Maybe they'll tell us. All right. Let me turn on. That's up. All right, here we go.
The Texas Supreme Court has cleared the way for Robert Roberson to be executed. Good evening, I'm Steve Eager.
I'm Heather Hayes. Roberson's execution was held up originally because a House committee wanted him to testify. Some lawmakers think he may be innocent. Fox 4's Stephen Dial, live with what's next.
The Anderson County District Attorney, where that case originated, will have to now file a new petition for execution. And while the state Supreme Court told lawmakers they can't block the execution, they said they are within their right to still get testimony from Roberson.
Robert Roberson was scheduled to be executed October 17th for the murder of his 2-year-old daughter, but the execution was blocked when a state House committee issued a last-minute order for him to testify at a hearing about his case. Friday, the Texas Supreme Court told state lawmakers they cannot use the power of a subpoena to delay an execution.
But the court said, look, we got 3 branches of government and they all have something to say here. Right? The legislature has an interest in these committees in researching laws. The executive has the pardon power. The judiciary takes care of having the trial and the post-conviction proceedings. But at some point when they come together, you just have to balance them.
The court acknowledged lawmakers have the power to call witnesses to testify, but said legislative investigatory power, even at its maximum, is insufficient to forestall a long-scheduled execution under the circumstances presented here. Constitutional lawyer David Cole said the court basically told lawmakers they tried to step in too late.
This court opinion says it's the last minute and then some. We're done. And you have an interest in revising the laws of Texas, but not one that warrants slowing this up any further.
Lawmakers on the bipartisan committee believed Roberson may be innocent. They called expert witnesses and the lead detective on the case to testify in support of that belief. But other relatives of the victim, 2-year-old Nikki Curtis, criticized the committee, and neither the governor nor courts intervened on his behalf. The Anderson County DA would have to now get a new death warrant. An execution would happen no earlier than 90 days after that date. Friday's court ruling said lawmakers can still compel Roberson to testify as long as it does not inevitably block a scheduled execution. Democrat State Representative Joe Moody from El Paso and Republican State Representative Jeff Leach from Plano issued a statement saying, in part, the Supreme Court strongly reinforced our belief that our committee can indeed obtain Mr. Roberson's testimony and made it clear that it expects the executive branch of government to accommodate us in doing so. That has been our position all along, and we look forward to working with the executive branch to do just that.
Now, an execution would happen no earlier than 90 days after that execution warrant is obtained. Now, David Cole told me that the attorneys for Roberson could try one last Hail Mary, but he thinks it's unlikely that's going to the Criminal Court of Appeals with their new justices that will be sworn in January.
Those birds were so loud, right? Is he in an aviary? That's that's crazy. I need to grab my glasses, so I'm going to run downstairs real quick, but I'm going to play some 90s commercials for you while I go do that. It'll be like 2 minutes.
Fresh baked bread, piled with extra lean, juicy ham. Oven roasted turkey breast, topped with a classic taste of...
Pardon me, would you have any Grey Poupon? But of course.
Introducing Subway's new Turkey and Ham Dijon. Turkey, ham, and the great taste of Grey Poupon mustard, now for a limited time on your choice of rolls. At Subway, the place where fresh is the taste.
One of the ways Ryder makes your move easier is by renting trucks with automatic transmission. Because moving doesn't have to be an uphill battle. Ryder, we're there when you need us.
Starts behind the eyes, goes behind the head.
I get the stress headaches. I get them right here.
My head is just getting tighter.
You clench your teeth.
My daughter does help contribute to my headache.
For fast relief of tough headache pain, now there's extra strength Tylenol gel tabs. All the power of extra strength Tylenol, combined with innovative gel coat technology. Nothing works faster.
It goes away really, really quick.
I feel clear-headed again.
Work fast for me.
Tylenol gel tabs, the newest form of powerful pain relief.
Works.
Presenting Bandit. Pound for pound, he uses more energy than most dogs twice his size. That's why we make Mighty Dog. It has the perfect balance of nutrients he needs. It makes your dog a Mighty Dog.
At your local True Value, finding someone to help you isn't a problem. Something that just can't be said of those enormous hardware warehouses. Find them, boys! This month at True Value, a twin pack of Red Devil Lifetime caulk is just $1.99, and our True Test True Seal waterproofing is just $4.98 a gallon. True Value. Help
True
is
Value.
just around the corner.
Do they even exist still? Sorry, my eyes were bothering me. I'm getting old. I gotta listen to them. All right, so, but I figured, I like watching 90s commercials. I like the memories. All right, so let's see what we have next. So I have the news discussing Brad Simpson and his charge for murder. His wife, Susan, is still missing. They're still looking for her. They've tried all different places to try to find her, and they still haven't found her yet. I think it was his coworker got arrested for hiding an illegal gun for him. There's a lot going on with this case.
A strategic move to challenge a major high-profile case. Attorneys for murder suspect Brad Simpson are trying to force prosecutors' hands.
Simpson is accused of killing his wife, Suzanne Simpson, who was reported missing more than 5 weeks ago. While prosecutors work to build their case against Brad Simpson, they're also missing a crucial piece of evidence.
Daniela Ibarra talked to a district attorney outside of our area who says cases like these are about the bigger picture.
More than a month after vanishing, Suzanne Clark Simpson's body has yet to be found. But Bexar County prosecutors believe they have enough to charge her husband, Brad Simpson, with her murder.
Obviously, in this office, we've had more than our share.
Steve Kunzweiler is the district attorney in Tulsa County in Oklahoma. His office has handled at least 4 cases where they began prosecution without a body, including one last month. How do you convince a jury to convict someone of murder if you don't have that key piece of evidence?
The advances in technology have made significant inroads in criminal prosecutions.
That technology includes crash data from cars and surveillance video. In Simpson's case, investigators say there's a lot to look at. His murder warrant says there's video from a Whataburger in Bernie from October 7th, the day after Suzanne was last seen. The warrant says there were trash bags, a large heavy-duty trash can, an ice chest, and a large bulky item wrapped in a tarp seen in Simpson's truck. Later that morning, investigators say surveillance video put Simpson at a Home Depot in Bernie. He's seen buying 2 bags of concrete, a construction bucket with a lid, heavy-duty trash bags, disinfectant spray, and insect repellent. The warrant doesn't outline when or how investigators believe Suzanne Simpson was killed. How crucial is surveillance video in a case like this where you don't have that body?
In many respects, it becomes seeing as believing. How a person died doesn't necessarily have to be proven.
Now, Simpson's attorneys are trying to get the state to prove they have enough to indict. On Thursday, they filed a motion for an examining trial.
It's a mini bench trial on a probable cause standard.
Criminal defense attorney and former Bexar County DA Nico LaHood says it's a defense strategy.
The analogy I give is like playing poker, and someone raises you, and then the defense is going all in and waiting for the government to call them. And so that's what they're doing.
How common is this type of motion?
In Bexar County, it's not common at all. This is rough numbers. I would say maybe 5 in the last 5 years.
Kunzweiler says the evidence and witnesses are key. Do you think that's enough to take this case to trial and get a conviction?
Well, the best I can tell you is I have prosecuted cases with less successfully. At the end of the day, we have to convince the jury beyond a reasonable doubt whether a crime was committed and whether that dude over there is the person that committed that crime.
Daniela Ibarra, KSAT 12 News.
The evidence will.
I wonder if they're going to be able to do it, if they'll be able to get him convicted without the body. I wish he would just tell them, not necessarily for them. Do it for your kids. Do it for your kids, dude. Do it for her family. But mostly your kids. Either way, you're going to go to prison. So just tell them. So the trial for the murder of Lake and Riley has started. There's been day 1. So this is, I paused that, but I mean, it kind of looks like a demon, like on all the shows where their eyes roll back and they're all white. That's kind of what that looks like. But anyway.
Will show that Laken fought. She fought for her life. She fought for her dignity.
In graphic detail, prosecutor Sheila Ross's opening statement described how 22-year-old Laken Riley fought off her attacker, Jose Ibarra, for minutes before he allegedly murdered her.
When Laken Riley refused to be his rape victim, he bashed her skull in with a rock repeatedly.
This was one of the last images of Riley jogging just minutes before her fateful run-in with Ibarra, prosecutors say. The Venezuelan native was arrested in 2022 for entering the U.S. illegally and was arrested again in New York City last year.
She also marked her killer for the entire world to see. The forensic evidence that he left behind in this fight is his DNA.
Prosecutors say these injuries to Ibarra's hand and neck occurred during the assault.
The evidence that Jose Ibarra killed Laken Riley is circumstantial.
Ibarra, an undocumented immigrant, became a face of illegal immigration, and Riley's death sparked a fierce national debate. Roughly 20 members of the victim's family were in court. If convicted of murder, Ibarra faces life without parole. Mark Strassman.
What state is this in? Just life without parole? That's the worst thing that can happen. Georgia? Does Georgia not have the death penalty? No, it has it. Because I would think killing somebody and trying to rape them, wouldn't that be a capital crime? So therefore, couldn't they have gone for the death penalty? I don't know. Maybe they just didn't want to. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, so all of these so far are pretty horrible cases and situations, and it's not going to get. Oh, they can't prove sexual assault, so that's why. That would be a good reason why you can't. So the news clips that I'm going to share don't get any better for a while. So again, I do want to warn you.
This program contains subject matter and language that may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
I do have happier stuff, but there is a lot of sad stuff too. So again, just want to warn people if they don't know what to expect. So the next few stories are going to be in Bexar County. I talk about Harris County a lot, but now I'm noticing a lot of stuff in Bexar County and Travis County. And this woman was shot by her ex when she went to pick up her child, and she was shot multiple times. The shooter is free on bond, and I mean, that is a constitutional right. I don't know how high the bond was, but not only is he free on bond, there's no conditions, no conditions to stay away from her, nothing like that. So I have no idea why, and there's nothing in place to protect this victim, which is absolutely terrible. And that's some of the reasons why victims don't report. And there should always be stuff in place to protect victims in situations like that. Like, he shot her. It's not like it was an accident.
It is 6:46 right now. New developments this morning to a story we've been following for almost a month now. Erica Torres, the woman who police say was shot by her husband back in June.
Yeah, so he's now free on bond. And as News 4's Tawny Davis explains, Erica's mom now fears for her daughter's life. Tawny, good morning.
Good morning. I spoke with Erica's mother, Edith Terrazas, yesterday, and she told me that she believes that Erica's former husband, Billy Delgado, is most likely here in San Antonio, free on bond with no conditions that would keep him a safe distance from her daughter. Now, Erica remains hospitalized at University Health here in San Antonio, where she's been for the past 5 months, ever since June, after police say her ex shot her over a dozen times as she picked up her daughter at his home in Laredo. He was recently released on bond without GPS monitoring. I did speak with the DA's office in Webb County. They told me they filed a motion requesting that Delgado be on GPS monitoring, have a curfew, and be tested randomly for drugs twice a month. However, Delgado's attorney filed an objection to the motion, and there is now a hearing set for November 25th. The motion does not state that he has to be in Webb County if it is approved, but they would have his location at all times. Erica's family did set up a GoFundMe for her, and that information will be up on our website, news4sa.com.
He should absolutely have GPS. Most people that end up on bond and pretrial have GPS monitors. That they can do that at the bare minimum. You can shoot someone 12 times and then not have any conditions on your bond. That's crazy, and they're not going to start them till later. So, still in Bexar County. Bexar County has 16,700 felony cases awaiting indictment. So they're backed up. Harris County is very backed up, and so it looks like Bexar County is as well.
In November of last year, the district attorney's office asked for more funding to help with the backlog in cases awaiting indictment and also formed something called a high-risk intake team. All right, so Bexar County commissioners granted that funding, but a year later, the numbers were actually higher. In fact, more than 16,700 felony cases are under review. That's roughly 10,000 more than what DA Joe Gonzalez told county commissioners. Our Erica Hernandez sat down with one of those county commissioners who's worried about those numbers.
In September 2023, Antonio Almaraz, a Bexar County Sheriff's deputy, was arrested after leaving his 2-month-old baby unattended in a vehicle for almost 3 hours. He was dismissed from his job and faces 3 charges, including injury to a child causing serious bodily injury. More than a year later, the case is still awaiting indictment. It is one of more than 16,000 felony cases awaiting review by the Bexar County District Attorney's Office.
I don't know apples to apples, the right, comparing those different backlog numbers, but that's a lot of cases.
Precinct 3 Commissioner Grant Moody is concerned about the backlog and with public safety.
Justice delayed is justice denied. I've heard from some judges and attorneys that have said backlogs and dockets have blown up by over 50%. And that's unsustainable. The system's going to break.
Last November, District Attorney Joe Gonzalez said the backlog was 6,330 pending cases awaiting indictment. KSAT 12 requested the number of cases that have been indicted from the original backlog. Between November 1st, 2023 to October 22nd, 2024, 1,814 cases were indicted. The response to our request also indicated, quote, "We are unable to provide the exact numbers." The reason they gave was the new case management system, Odyssey, doesn't allow them to run reports to determine the numbers with confidence. Moody saying this is the first time he is hearing that Odyssey is causing a problem and says it's time District Attorney Joe Gonzalez gives an update.
I think that this is a great opportunity to, again, get the DA to come back to Commissioner's Court and talk about what has happened with the backlog. Again, we asked for those quarterly updates. They haven't happened.
Moody says the communication has to be open so others can help, but also to make sure the community stays safe.
Ultimately, this is the DA's ship, and I'm happy to work with him, but it needs to be addressed. We need to change course. Again, the status quo is just not sustainable at this point. It's not working.
We did reach out to the district attorney's office requesting a sit-down interview with Gonzalez, but have yet to hear back. We'll continue to keep requesting for that interview. Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.
Yeah, that's not good. That's a lot of charges. So felony charges that haven't been indicted, so they can't go through the court system. And I'm assuming some of these are assaults, perhaps rape. That's a lot of cases, so I can only assume. So that's pretty terrible because I doubt those people are in custody and then they're going to have to go find them. They don't have the manpower for that. It's almost ridiculous. How did we get here? Is there more crime? Is there less staff? They never caught up from the pandemic. What is the problem? Why is there that many people? They're not saying. Well, next in Bexar County, you'll get to see ridiculous mugshot. A woman decided to go through a wild chase and then go through the quarry, I don't know, whatever market, had prior arrest before with DUIs. So thankfully nobody was hurt, but she did hit law enforcement officers' vehicle and other people's vehicles. And man, I've never been that drunk. Never been that drunk. I don't know how people can drink like that. I would puke before I got that drunk.
The woman arrested after a wild car chase that was all caught on camera is now facing a whole list of charges.
Like driving while intoxicated and also doing so with an open container. Since yesterday, video of this chase at the Alamo Quarry has gone viral.
Yeah, there were some really scary moments here. Katrina Weber spoke again today with the man who recorded this video, and he says in hindsight, he may have been too close to all the action.
The speed may have been slow, but as several drivers found out, the danger was real for anyone in the parking lot at the Alamo Quarry Market Thursday afternoon. San Antonio police tried to help state troopers stop the SUV driven by 37-year-old Audrey Marie Schneider.
It felt really surreal. I couldn't really believe what was going on in front of me.
Alec Dyer not only saw it, but the freelance photographer did what came naturally, grabbed his camera and rolled on this video.
Yeah, just witnessing that, I was mentally preparing, like, oh no, I'm about to see something traumatic happen in front of me.
It went on for what seemed to him like an eternity, with several near misses and Schneider's SUV at one point backing into 2 patrol cars. What happened here, according to the Department of Public Safety, was actually the end of a chase that started miles away from here and went through 2 counties. They say it started along I-35 in Comal County. Even after the SUV stopped, investigators say Schneider did not. She ran into a nearby business where they took her down and arrested her.
But the whole time I was thinking, like, oh no, she's at this rate, she's going to kill somebody or she's going to hurt somebody.
Dyer says he's glad in the end that no one was seriously hurt. Schneider, though, is in serious trouble from the chase. Numerous charges, including assault on an officer and driving while intoxicated with an open container. According to court records, it's not her first case related to driving and alcohol. In 2017, she was arrested for obstructing a highway while intoxicated. Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
I'm glad nobody got hurt, but like, I wonder how much she drank. I want to know what her blood alcohol level was, but it doesn't look like they've released that yet. So the next story, I'm still in Bexar County. The next story, there was a shooting at the Fiesta Festival. They have Fiesta every year here, and it's this big thing that they have in downtown, and normally it's fine, but this year there was a shooting between a few people, and some people died. So one of the families had something in honor of their loved one, a 22-year-old that was killed, and they have finally made some arrest in that shooting.
Our top story this morning, a grieving family gets answers, but not closure. Police recently arrested 2 men in connection to a deadly shooting happening during Fiesta. Those men, identified through cell phone video, are accused of killing 22-year-old Azariah Feliciano. Authorities say he was riding in the back of a pickup truck when the gunman opened fire. As they were driving down Travis Street on April 27th, the women in that truck with Feliciano captured video of the 3 men on the sidewalk that they had had a confrontation with. Police say 2 of the men pulled out handguns and started firing at the truck. Feliciano died, and the women suffered life-threatening injuries. Last night, loved ones met close to where it happened and shared memories of Azariah, who would have turned 23 next month.
It's not easy being here, but this is where my son was last. I just honestly want to know why. Like they didn't know my son.
Last month, officers arrested 19-year-old Muslim Abdalrida. They also identified the second suspected shooter, but have yet to release his name. Meanwhile, we're told that Azariah Feliciano was an organ donor, his family finding some comfort knowing he helped save 8 lives.
That he was a very good employee, never had any anger issues, never talked about
Hold on,
any
I'm not ready for that story yet. So yeah, Christ, that mugshot, the way that he looked in that mugshot, that was terrifying. So now some stories in West Houston. There was a guy that was arrested with connections to possible terrorist groups and was planning an attack. And apparently he also worked at a pizza parlor.
That he was a very good employee, never had any anger issues, never talked about any anti-American or ISIS issues at work. So yeah, he's just kind of a normal guy.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Andy Sirota. Keith is off tonight.
And good evening. I'm Daniela Guzman. A Houston man is accused of collaborating with the terrorist organization ISIS. He will remain in custody. But today, those who know 28-year-old Anas Saeed are offering a different picture of this man.
KPRC2 investigator Joel Eisenbaum is live in Alief, where that suspect has been living with his brother and mother for years. Joel, what did you find out?
Well, Saeed is an American citizen, and the trio has been living here at the Ashford Court Apartments in Alief for years. In fact, he works at a pizza shop, or at least he did, right down the road. And it was one of several places we visited today, trying to learn more about the suspect. The government paints him as a dangerous terrorist collaborator living right under our noses, someone on their radar since 2017.
We've taken a suspected terrorist off the streets of Houston, Texas.
But 28-year-old Anas Saeed's own lawyer says, oh, come now.
I will tell you directly that if he is the biggest local threat to our national security, then I am sleeping pretty good at night, because I just don't think my client has the capacity to carry out any type of terrorist activity, plan anything.
But Saeed isn't charged with planning an attack. He's charged with providing support to a terrorist organization, namely ISIS. News to me says his boss at the Alief pizza shop where Saeed worked with his brother.
He just made dough. That's the whole job. And he never gave you any problems or any other people problems. Worked here with his brother, was on time to work and everything.
The feds say Saeed studied a military recruiting center on Westheimer and wanted to kill members of the military that had killed Muslims in combat. But mostly Saeed, who is born in the U.S., made propaganda recruiting videos for ISIS, say federal prosecutors, and he talked with those terrorists through encrypted messages, according to a lengthy court document.
With regards to his planning and carrying out of actual terrorist acts, I think that has been blown out of proportion, no pun intended.
Well, for now, Saeed will remain in custody. That's what a judge wants. The attorney for Saeed says his client is really just confused about this whole thing and doesn't think he's done anything wrong. We expect the trial to happen sometime in February. We're live in Alief. I'm Joel Eisenbaum, KPRC.
Yeah, you can't make propaganda videos, but I'm sorry, that lawyer was definitely making a pun when he said it's been blown out of proportion. That little smile at the end, I know what he was doing. But so the FBI was watching him since 2017. Oh, well, I'm glad they got him before anything happened. So on Twitter, I had shared a story about a serial rapist in Houston. They are so I think that they have a suspect now and they have a photo of him. So there's been another assault. So definitely spreading awareness about this. I mean, you should always be aware, but definitely be extra super aware when there's a serial rapist on the loose. I believe it's happening in Acres Homes area, but we'll see in the story.
Good evening. I'm Anthony Answell. On top of the rundown here tonight, the search continues for a second suspect believed to be involved in a series of sexual assaults in the Acres Home area. For days, we've been following a rash of attacks on women at 5 different locations. Now, a New Caney teenager claims that she came face to face with one of the suspects. Fox 26 reporter Leslie Delaspore spoke with that teenager. And Leslie, what does she have to say?
Yeah, this teenager is 15, and she says that she's happy that Denzel Sneed is behind bars because she claims after she came in contact with him, he touched her.
And I looked at my teacher to show her that I was visibly uncomfortable. And she told him again, sir, these are minors. You need to leave them alone. She's a 15-year-old girl. We can press charges.
Allison says over a week ago, Denzel Sneed followed and recorded her while she was on a field trip in downtown Houston.
He was just saying basically that, like, okay, it's fine, I guess. Like, I'll delete him. Like, I wasn't even going to do anything with the videos. But if you want me to delete it, I guess I can. He kept trying to talk to us, and I just ignored him. Then he decided it was a good idea to touch me right here on my lower hip near, And he was just saying basically, oh, you're so pretty, oh, you're so fine, you should give me your Instagram.
Her friend Vanessa claims the man in this video is definitely Sneed, but we have blurred the image until police can confirm that. The young woman says he continued to make them and their other friends uncomfortable. That's when she pulled out her phone.
That guy, he's like stuck onto us, and we just heard him like have his phone up and recording a couple of us in the back. He was talking about something about his YouTube channel, and well, we all thought that was weird. Like, why are you recording us? We don't know you.
The police were then called, according to Allison, who told her some information that left her shocked.
I called my mom and asked them if they wanted to press charges. My parents ended up saying we wanted to press charges. Well, but when I went to the officer to tell him we wanted to press charges, they were releasing him. And they were saying that he was already like in the system for something else he did.
The girls then claim Sneed walked away free that day. This surveillance video of him in the apartment complex on West Little York came out 2 days later. Now they are happy he is behind bars.
Well, I hope more girls, if they have been affected by him or anyone in that situation, can speak out, because that's a very scary situation. I was scared to even tell my parents.
Now, police say they are working leads and they are looking for a second suspect in the ring of these sexual assaults. Take a look at your screen here. The male that they're looking for is a black man in his 20s. If you've seen this man or you have any information, you are urged to call Crime Stoppers at 713-222-TIPS or the HPD Special Victims Division at 713-308-1180. Reporting live from New Caney, Leslie Dellis for Fox 26 News.
Okay, so this reporter, hold on, how far back do I need to, like, she matches the sunset in the background. Like, this is a fantastic shot. But yeah, so 2 rape suspects, not just one. So I'm glad that they got one behind bars, and this is the other suspect, not the best. And he's also wearing this weird mask, and I'm guessing he pulls it over his face. But yeah, Houston, be extra high alert, because there is an active rapist out there. And if you know anything, please contact the police. Share it with women you know. You'll recognize him by his shitty fashion sense. Yes, I agree. Yeah, all of it, not just the mask. So the last story in Harris County today, there were 5 inmates that were released due to medical issues, and now they're missing. No shock there.
Fox 26 News at 9 starts now.
Only on Fox tonight, at least 5 inmates released from prison early due to medical issues are now wanted fugitives.
Fox 26 Randy Wallace joining us live from downtown with the exclusive. Randy.
Yeah, Anthony. Now, the question the Texas Department of Criminal Justice has to answer tonight: how do you lose track of inmates who are supposed to be gravely ill?
I've never seen anything like this before.
Every decade, the State Sunset Advisory Commission audits different state agencies. A deep dive into the Texas Department of Criminal Justice brought a strange dilemma to light. It involves prison inmates who are released early due to terminal illnesses.
You got to be kidding me. How do you go from getting released when you're supposedly on death's door to now we don't even know where you are?
The Sunset Commission found as of the third quarter in fiscal year 2024, 5 medically recommended intensive supervision releasees had absconded, which means TDCJ cannot locate the releasees because they have left their approved residence. Conversely, inmates have died from their conditions shortly after they have been denied MRIS, and others have been approved for MRIS only to die before release.
What are their offenses? What are you doing to find them? You know, should the public be notified?
TDCJ won't give us any info about the wanted inmates, including their names. During a Sunset Commission hearing in Austin, State Representative Lacey Hull pressed TDCJ Chairman Brian Collier for more info.
How many in total offenders released on medical parole do we not know like the location for and have absconded?
I can get you numbers and I can go back roughly 10 years.
This isn't the first time TDCJ has lost track of an inmate claiming to be gravely ill. In 1998, Stephen J. Russell was granted a special medical parole, but his disease was bogus. He ended up going back to prison after trying to fake his own death. TDCJ told us we needed to file an open records request to get the names and mugshots of the now wanted inmates. Reporting live from downtown.
But they're wanted. How are we supposed to find them if we don't know who they are and what they look like? I guess only they're allowed to search for them because what? And how many others? How are they diagnosing these illnesses that you release this guy and there's nothing actually wrong with him? Who's diagnosing them? What the hell? I'm not surprised, though. Not surprised at all. All right, so moving on to California. A Newport man has been sentenced to life for killing his classmate and it's been charged as a hate crime.
The man responsible for the brutal death of Orange County teen Blaze Bernstein will spend the rest of his life behind bars. It was an emotional day in court and a tearful end to a heartbreaking case that gripped Southern California. KTLA Sandra Mitchell was in court for the sentencing of Sam Woodward.
Stabbed in the face, stabbed in his kind blue eyes that could see things most can't see, stabbed in his warm hands that penned beautiful poems and stories, held my hand as a boy, and created so many wonderful things.
Sobbing in a Santa Ana courtroom as the mother of murder victim Blaze Bernstein urged the judge to sentence her son's killer to life without the possibility of parole.
Let's be clear, this was a hate crime.
A chaotic day as convicted killer 27-year-old Samuel Woodward refused to leave his jail cell for sentencing. After hours of delay, the judge ordered the proceedings to go on without the defendant, saying the Bernstein family had suffered long enough. Woodward was convicted of stabbing Bernstein 28 times, leaving his body in a Lake Forest park. Bernstein, an Ivy League student, was briefly back in Southern California visiting his family on winter break when he was killed. Prosecutors argued Woodward searched a dating app to find someone who was Jewish and gay to kill. The jury determined it was a hate crime, and today the judge agreed, sentencing Woodward to life without the possibility of parole.
There is no place for hate in this world. And if you're someone out there that is resentful of another race or sexual preference, there's got to be another way for you to be able to find some love or some way to embrace people who are different than you.
Sandra Mitchell, KTLA 5.
Yeah, he wasn't doing anything. He sought out that person to kill them. I fully agree that he deserves life in prison for that. That's absolutely horrific. And he couldn't even go sit in the courtroom for the sentencing. Yeah, just leave him alone. You don't have to agree with him, but leave him alone. Hello, Yannetti. Yeah, it's so sad. What his family wrote, the impact statement, that was beautiful, but it's a shame because he never heard it because he was sitting in the jail cell like a coward instead of hearing the testimony. So the next case is a couple that was killed and their bodies ended up being burned by somebody that owed them money, which, like, normally it's the other way around, but
it's a gruesome crime. A man charged with killing a couple from Brea, then setting their bodies on fire and dumping them in the desert.
But the alleged crimes didn't stop there. KCAL's Michelle Gili has the disturbing case.
We didn't see them for a while, and then, of course, we didn't think much of it.
Duke Noble says that all changed when Brea homicide investigators showed up at the Country Roads condominiums where a young couple lived. He'd often see Quan Long Wang and Jing Li walking their two little dogs around the complex.
Just thought, oh, maybe gone on vacation or gone or whatever. And then once all the police and stuff were here, it was very, we were like, oh my gosh, like, maybe they aren't on vacation and something did happen.
The Orange County District Attorney has accused 30-year-old Huang Ting Gong of special circumstances murder. Court documents say Gong, who was a business partner of the man in Brea, lived here at this apartment complex in Glendale. We asked neighbors about Gong, but no one recognized him. Charges against Gong include kidnapping, arson, and burglary. Officials say 2 days after the double killing, the suspect returned to Brea and stole $250,000 worth of jewelry, watches, clothing, shoes, and handbags.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible. I didn't know that. No.
Authorities say the crime spree stretched over a couple of days in mid-October. According to the criminal complaint, a family member told police that the suspect owed his business associate, the Brea man, $80,000.
I wish I could say it surprised me for Southern California, but it surprises me for the neighborhood that you live in, though, or that we live in. So
Prosecutors say 37-year-old Quan Lin Wang left his home in Brea to meet Huang Ting Gong in the desert in Riverside County. That's where Gong is accused of shooting his business partner and then bringing him back to Brea in the victim's Tesla. Gong then allegedly attacked and kidnapped his partner's wife, Jing Li, drove in her Tesla to the desert in San Bernardino County near Victorville, where she was killed and burned. The Tesla was taken to another location and torched, officials say. Before the burglary, Gong went back to Riverside County, dumped the man's body, and burned his car. Gong was arrested last week at LAX after getting off a flight from Seattle. In Brea, Michelle Geely, KCAL News.
That's such a horrible, horrible, horrible case. Sorry, I started chewing the ice at a terrible time. Anyway, like, it's horrible to kill somebody, but like he went extra super far. Like why go that far? Why kill his wife? Why do all of that? You think you're not going to get caught? And you drove his Tesla. Teslas have cameras in them. There's literal video of you now. Hey Tash. So I'm not sure if you guys heard of the situation where a husband and father faked his own death to try to disappear and move to Europe. Did you guys hear about that? Yeah, it's apparently people do that. It's almost like a double jeopardy, but not, because the wife wasn't a suspect.
Ryan Borgwart's routine day on the water in early August turned out to be anything but after the 45-year-old from Wisconsin left to go fishing and never came home. What happened next, Sheriff Mark Padal says, left everybody stunned. Signs the father of three faked his own death.
Have you, in your professional law enforcement experience, ever seen any case that even approximates this?
No, and I've been in law enforcement for 42 years. I never experienced anything like this.
In the immediate hours and days after Borgwart's reported disappearance, search teams found a capsized kayak and life jacket in the deepest part of the lake, his van and trailer parked by the boat launch, and eventually his fishing rod and a tackle box that also contained his keys and a wallet. But after weeks of scouring Green Lake, no indication of the father of two high schoolers and a seventh grader. A search team from Bruce's Legacy using sonar to comb the lake.
By the time we got into day 10, roughly, I mean, it was evident to me that, something wasn't right.
When police reviewed the 45-year-old's laptop, they say they found a trove of information, including inquiries about moving funds to foreign banks, communication with a woman from Uzbekistan, even a $375,000 life insurance policy purchased in January. The sheriff says his passport was checked by Canadian authorities the day after his reported disappearance. And in early October, Borgwart's wife and relatives learned the search was turning into an investigation. On Friday, the sheriff speaking directly to Borgwart.
I plead that you contact us or contact your family
We understand that things can happen. But there's a family that wants their daddy back.
Now, answers are few and far between, but he says authorities are on the trail.
He's at a 2-month head start.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's ahead of us, but we'll catch him.
All right. So I guess the question is how? How are they going to track him down?
Yeah, they have no idea where he is right now. Investigators are saying that they have figured out that there may be accomplices. They're looking into whether or not that's actually the case. The FBI also involved in the investigation. Their number one priority right now is bringing this father home. And here's the thing, guys. His wife, Emily, did say that she can't comment right now. It's an active investigation, but she had to sit on information for weeks. This had turned from a likely drowning to an investigation without telling other members of her family or her children. That's their reality right now as this information comes to light.
Agony. Yeah, definitely. All right, Sam. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't miss the Today Show every weekday.
How could you do that to your kids? The poor kids. And like, they're definitely not going to get that life insurance because you're not dead, dude. So you left them with nothing, absolutely nothing. I wonder what country he went to. And why would you leave your computer behind with information? I guess at least we're lucky he's stupid. So there is a trial that is going on in New York right now. Wait, no, it's already over. Actually, no, this I don't want to get into. Sorry. I don't want to get into that. Anyway, so we are going to move on to Japan. So going to be some stuff in Japan, South Africa, and then the UK.
For more on this, we're joined by NHK World's Nakamura Genta in Beijing. So, Genta, how is this incident being received in China?
Well, state media has widely reported the police announcement, though it has largely refrained from covering details of the incident itself. Meanwhile, social media is filled with messages expressing condolences for the victims. However, videos purportedly showing the scene of the incident have been removed, suggesting a cautious approach by the authorities.
Well, there has been a rash of violent incidents in China this year, including the targeting of Japanese schools. Now, why would you say that these things are happening?
No doubt, people within Chinese society are growing increasingly dissatisfied. It is often said the recent economic downturn is exacerbating a widespread sense of pessimism. China's once rapid growth has come to an end, and it's becoming difficult for many people now to see any economic benefits. Dissatisfaction with the current situation appears to be building up among those left behind. As for this incident, the authorities have referred to the driver's divorce situation. This is seen as his motive. They seem to want to deflect blame away from society or the system by attributing the motives to personal reasons.
Well, how is President Xi Jinping's leadership handling the situation?
After the series of incidents that have shocked society, they seem to be feeling impatient and that some kind of action is necessary. An instruction that Xi issued on Tuesday underscores his impatience. He calls on relevant departments to make their utmost efforts to maintain social stability by reducing risk factors, resolving conflicts, and preventing extreme incidents. There is no doubt that Xi's leadership is concerned about social unrest and its impact on the system. She's apparently concerned that social stagnation may be caused by the rule of the Chinese Communist Party and government administration. For these reasons, it is possible the authorities could resort to heavy-handed methods to nip any perceived threats in the bud.
Right. Thank you, Genta. That was NHK World's Nakamura Genta reporting from Beijing.
So it looks like there's unrest everywhere. I mean, China has its own extra issues, but I think that we're all upset for similar reasons, economy and everything else going on. So South Africa is having issues with illegal miners. I guess they took over an abandoned mine, but it's a disused shaft. I don't know what it is. So South Africa's got, I mean, South Africa has a lot of things that we wouldn't have to deal with in the United States. But their police are trying to get these people out, and it's not working.
Hundreds of illegal miners are believed to be underground in this disused shaft in Stilfontein in South Africa's Northwest Province. Police are trying to force them out after weeks of trying to empty the mine and have cut off their supplies of food and water. Desperate relatives of the miners gathered on Friday, days after a cabinet minister said the government was trying to, quote, smoke them out. One decomposed body was brought up on Thursday, police said, and it's unclear whether those remaining were unwilling or unable to get out. Community member Matsadiso Ramola didn't know if they were alive or dead.
We're asking for help from the government to assist us so our children can come out of the mine. All we are asking for is their remains to come out as the community of Kuma Stilfontein.
In the past few weeks of crackdown, more than 1,000 miners have resurfaced from the shaft, which descends vertically for more than a mile. They'd entered illegally in search of leftover gold. Many of those who do the risky work of breaking into abandoned industrial mines are immigrants from neighboring countries. A family member who gave her name only as Rosalina was one of several from Zimbabwe.
I'm here waiting for young people who are underground, who are dying. Young people from my home in Zimbabwe. It's better South Africa hands over those young people so we can take them back home and bury them. That's all we're asking for.
Illegal mining has plagued South Africa for decades through small-time pilfering and organized criminal networks. It costs South Africa's government and industry hundreds of millions of dollars annually in lost sales, taxes, and royalties, according to an estimate by a mining industry body. But community member Kona Litshaba says this belongs to no one, adding they closed the mine instead of opening it and giving people jobs.
I mean, I would guess that it's probably dangerous or there's not a lot of stuff left, because why would they close something that's profitable? I don't know. I know nothing about South Africa or mines, but that's crazy that people break into abandoned mines and it's a mile underground. Like, I'm getting anxious just thinking about it. There's no elevator or anything. What did they do? Did they just ride a rope down? That's, oof, they got some huevos there. Well, I hope that they're alive. All right, so moving to the UK, there was 5 people found guilty of a double murder of teenage boys.
Those boys were not known to their attackers. They were best friends, 2 beautiful children, just gone about their lives and attacked for no reason whatsoever.
It was a double murder in a case of mistaken identity, one that began an hour before their deaths. Captured on CCTV, 3 males armed with machetes smash windows at a house in the Hartcliffe area of Bristol. It was this attack on January the 27th that triggered a deadly hunt. The 5 defendants travelled in Snook's Audi Q2 towards Knowle, a part of Bristol that's long had postcode rivalries with Hartcliffe.
The prosecution heard how the group were out for revenge, acting as a pack as they hunted down those responsible. They were tooled up with fearsome weapons, they said, as they headed up this road towards Mason's house.
At the same time, around 11:15 p.m, Max arrived to meet up with his friend Mason. As they leave his house, the Audi stops nearby. 4 of the defendants jump out, weapons captured on a CCTV camera. Mason and Max had been wrongly identified for the attack an hour earlier. A chase unfolded, leaving the boys lying in the street with what the court heard were unsurvivable stab wounds. It was a fatal attack that lasted just 33 seconds. In the days that followed, the community rallied. Tributes to 2 young lives lost. Max and Mason were at school together, preparing for their GCSEs. They would have attended this year's prom. Their fellow Year 11s made sure the boys were remembered.
We had a wall that was lit up in red for Mason and Liverpool Football Club, and a wall in blue for Max for Park Knoll Football Club. So a difficult time, and I think that the year group came together and supported each other through it.
The investigation involved more than 230 police officers and staff. The murders came before a new law was introduced, banning ownership of zombie-style knives and machetes.
The weapons used in the attack on Mason and Max were simply horrific. In all my service, I've not seen a weapon like the one we saw used against those 2 boys.
And for the families, this really never ends for them, does it?
It will never end. How can you replace what they've lost? Beautiful sons. I can only hope that the verdicts will bring some form of a closure. It will never close completely.
Police are still searching for the 3 men behind the house attack, one that ultimately led to the deaths of 2 innocent boys. Dan Whitehead, Sky.
I hope they find them. Jeez. I'm glad that they banned them. Like, people definitely can't survive weapons like that. Like, you're just going to go around and do stuff like that over what? I mean, it seems like they have a similar issue to what we have here with gun violence with weapons like that. Humans are just horrible and violent all over, unfortunately. And that's so sad. And if you're going to attack somebody like that, definitely be sure. I mean, not that I condone, but you're just going to attack when you're not even sure that is who you're looking for. Anyway, so, yeah, very, very sad story, and I hope that they find who did that. So, moving on. Another issue that has been all over the world is, retail theft and crime in, shops and robberies and people getting robbed in stores and stores getting robbed and all that fun stuff. So, they're also dealing with this outside of the U.S.
Came in, grabbed it, picked it up, and then started running. With a water carbonating system in hand and 3 employees in pursuit, this grab and dash suspect escapes with the $350 appliance. Just another day at Gourmet Warehouse. I had a guy come in and put a full all-clad fry pan straight down his pants. We're talking thousands and thousands of dollars a week walking out my door. Staff at Karen McSherry's specialty cookware store on East Hastings besieged by theft. They do their best to stop those who bypass the till while dealing with daily disorder. That's the sound of someone smashing $5,000 worth of Le Creuset roasters. Why are these people left to continually repeat, offend, and there's no consequence? Catch and release, catch and release. It makes me insane. Gourmet Warehouse is spending tens of thousands of dollars on full-time security and has installed metal shutters. Still, its founder says crime is catastrophic and escalating without control. We don't report it because it's not worth it. By the time they do come, they're gone.
Our patrol officers are very well versed in knowing who the chronic repeat offenders are, and sometimes we're able to pick them off just by hearing their description. So it's so important to report these crimes when they do happen. We completely understand the frustration.
A recent industry report found 57% of BC small businesses were directly impacted by crime over the past year, up from 47% in 2023. This is what he stole. McSherry has a plea for David Eby's new government. If nothing changes, only big box stores will survive. Do something, or you will see yourself looking at empty retail spaces all over this city and this province Krista Robinson, Global News.
Yeah, they need a different setup, different entry and exit. Like everything needs to be behind glass so people just can't get up and grab it. The employees are going to have to grab it for them at this point because holy crap, that's a lot of stealing and breaking. I don't know how she's surviving now. Someone broke $5,000 worth of stuff. Christ. Poor business. Looks like a cool little business. All right, now moving to Seattle. Seattle had multiple stabbings in 2 days, and thankfully they caught the person. But yeah, he went on a stabbing spree.
First tonight, we start with that random stabbing spree in the CID. The suspect has been charged with multiple counts of assault, accused of stabbing 10 people. Thanks for joining us for the News at 5. I'm Hannah Kim.
And I'm Matthew Smith. Now, we did dig up an old mugshot of the suspect from this case. That's Roland Lee on your screen. The State Department of Corrections says he has several prior convictions. Today, King County prosecutors said Lee poses an extreme danger to the community. The judge even ordered him to be held on a $2 million bond.
Fox 13's Frankie Thompson has the developments from today's court hearing.
So Roland Lee's uncle says he wants to apologize to all of the victims and their families for the harm his nephew caused during these several stabbings. But he says he believes Lee was having a mental health episode when this spree happened last week. We want to show you this. Look at this. This stabbing was vicious. This is one of the knives collected in the case, not from the crime scene, but from one of the victims' bodies. It was thrust in with so much force, it stuck into the person's spine and broke off there. That victim may have suffered permanent nerve damage as a result. Today's hearing at King County Jail Court was very brief as Lee did not show up to face the judge. The charges filed by King County prosecutors comes after new body camera video shows the moments officers arrested him. This is video from Seattle Sergeant David Sullivan. He says he heard screaming and was first on the scene to catch the suspect. Officials say witnesses gave detailed descriptions of what the suspect was wearing to help track him down quickly. The video also shows more officers arriving to secure the scene and find out how many people needed help treating their stab wounds. SPD says at least 5 people were hospitalized from their injuries, but about 10 people were hurt in the course of this 36-hour stabbing spree, which remains under investigation. Everyone is expected to survive. During the investigation, police say they found 2 knives in the parking lot where Lee was arrested, one of which we just showed you. The suspect's uncle says he has known Lee all his life and claims Lee has mental health issues.
I talked to Roland, and Roland said he don't remember doing anything. But, you know, they have it on video, they have witnesses and all that. Roland was at my house a week ago. That night, Thursday, before all the stabbing started, Roland texted me and said he was on the way to my house to shower. We're going to have a good day together. I don't know what happened. I don't know if he used a drug that sent him off the edge, but Roland is a good person.
Though Lee's uncle says his nephew is not a violent person, the suspect does have a criminal history. According to Washington State Department of Corrections, Lee has been convicted of 9 felonies in the past 10 years. He was convicted of misdemeanors and had an outstanding warrant. Now, Lee is scheduled for an arraignment at the King County Courthouse. That is happening on November 27th at 8:30 a.m. Live from the
Geez, yeah, he definitely needs, he's not a violent person. 9 felonies and mass stabbing. I mean, yeah, people do have mental health disorders and issues, and but I don't know what happened here, but yeah, he's a danger to society either way. It needs to be held somewhere, whether it's a mental health facility or prison somewhere. I would prefer to him to get help. I would really prefer for him to get help, but there's no system for it. We don't have beds anymore. Mental health isn't, there's no resources. There's, if you Google like how all the beds have shut down, we've drastically decreased mental health facilities. We need places for people with severe mental health issues to go. This is why I could never be a politician. There's way too many issues, and I try to focus just on criminal justice stuff. A lot of places are catch and release. So another person went on a crime rampage, a spree, but this time with a forklift. So now we're moving to Philadelphia.
Well, the investigation into a crime spree involving a forklift is unfolding, and this all happened last night in Delaware County.
Yeah, police say this man, William Martin, stole a forklift from a warehouse and went on a crime spree that involved robbing a Wawa. It ultimately ended with the suspect crashing the forklift into a church. Action News reporter John Paul live at that church where it all ended in Ridley Park with the very latest tonight. John.
Yeah, Rick, Shari, I mean, just a trail of destruction left behind in this crime spree. So this is the church where it all ended. And these are doors that are now boarded up after that forklift rammed into it. You can see these chunks here on the ground. This was part of like an overhang here. So it looks like the fork was actually up when this forklift rammed into the church. The whole thing started about 2 miles away.
I got a call initially for sellers saying there was a subject driving a forklift doing donuts in the roadway that struck a vehicle.
A bizarre call to police in Delaware County Thursday night during a crime spree on a forklift. It's crazy. This is where it came to an end. The side of a church on East Chester Pike in Ridley Park. The doors on the overhang were damaged.
He must have had the forks up pretty high.
Joseph Majitti took the video shortly after the crash, and he walked us through what he saw last night.
I seen a bunch of cop cars with a forklift that was like halfway through the building.
This is the man police say was driving that forklift, William Martin. He was arrested inside of the church. According to documents, he used a fire extinguisher to spray the inside of the sanctuary. According to police, Martin's crime spree spanned a wide area. It started with a theft at Denny's on Industrial Highway in Tinicum Township. Then they say he stole a forklift from S-Tech nearby and trashed the place before going on a rampage, including ramming a Ford Explorer while doing donuts by the Clarion Hotel and hitting this shuttle bus at Spring Hill Suites. You can see the damage that was done, including large holes ripped into the back where the fork went in. After that, police say he stole from a Wawa before driving away on that forklift and eventually crashing into this church. The whole incident lasted nearly an hour and spanned about 2 miles.
How he made it this far without getting caught, because Tinicum's pretty far away from here, and it's a pretty major road you have to take.
Now, Martin does face a long list of charges for all this. Some of those include burglary, theft, criminal mischief as well. We're live tonight in Ridley Park. John Paul, Channel 6 Action News. Rick?
All right, John, thank you.
Oh, that reporter. I love that reporter. He's the most reportering looking reporter. But yeah, he did donuts in the forklift. And yeah, how do you drive down a major road and go on a crime spree in a forklift and the cops don't get you before you crash into the church? That story was just so ridiculous. And his mugshot was fantastic. I really liked his tattoos. Anyway, let's see. Hold on. I'm going to move something. All right. So a father tried to kill a child safety officer and live streamed it. I don't remember where this happened, so we're going to find out together.
DCS says thankfully that man is out of the hospital recovering at home, but this incident is raising concerns about safety. And again, we want to warn you, this video is disturbing. A vicious, unprovoked attack recorded by the attacker, streaming live on Facebook as police say he attempted to kill a state employee. Mesa police say this happened on Tuesday around 5 p.m. inside this building at Alma School Road in Southern, an Arizona Department of Child Safety office. The suspect, DeAndre Terrell Johnson, beginning his live stream as he sat down with a DCS employee to discuss his case involving his children.
With all this DCS, I want to introduce you so that we can have a proper introduction on this.
Growing agitated when the employee doesn't want to be in his live stream.
I want to introduce you. Don't be afraid. You hold a public position, man.
At the end of the hour-long meeting,
You gonna dap me up?
Johnson puts the employee in a chokehold, attempting to strangle him. 2 minutes go by.
You was a mother dead man.
The employee doesn't appear to be moving.
You was a dead man.
Then you hear witnesses in the background.
You was a dead man.
The whole attack lasting 2.5 minutes.
Please still breathing. I ain't making my point.
Records obtained by 12 News show multiple people called 911 and Johnson left. First responders finding the victim lying on the ground injured in an altered state of consciousness. As he was taken to the hospital, police began their search for Johnson, and when they found him, he fled, prompting a pursuit. Officers deploying a grappler, but that still didn't stop him. He was ultimately tracked down and arrested within 3 hours of the assault.
You don't know, man. You made it point. No, I didn't.
This violent attack raising questions about security for DCS employees. Earlier this year, citing budget cuts, DCS cut ties with a security company which provided guards to protect caseworkers during visits at a Phoenix field office, leaving some employees questioning the department's priorities. In response to Tuesday's assault, staff received an email reminding employees to use an emergency communication software they have access to in case of an emergency, and to consider meeting with parents in pairs. When 12 News asked if those measures would prevent a similar attack from happening again, a DCS spokesperson said, although there is no way of predicting or stopping an unprovoked attack, Alert Media can help in receiving immediate law enforcement response in escalated situations or when a staff member feels unsafe. This victim, who DCS says is now at home recovering, later told police from the hospital that Johnson threatened his life a week prior, but he was able to calm him down. Doctors described his injuries to police as absolutely serious, saying the victim almost died. Johnson now faces an attempted first-degree murder charge, in addition to 2 counts of aggravated assault and unlawful flight from police. DCS says it's conducting a comprehensive review of this incident. Johnson is being held on a $500,000 cash bond. We're in Mesa. Bianca Bono, 12 News.
It began with the most disturbing story involving a police detective on Long Island.
Okay, there was a lot to unpack in that last story. One, it's not plausible for them to meet in pairs. The computer program's not going to help. 3, why doesn't the Department of Children and Family Services not have security around that can react in 2.5 minutes? I would think that people get upset quite often there, so they should have security. I understand some people are scared, especially nowadays, but you don't have security? Like, that's a lot. I feel horrible for those workers. Clearly, they don't have anybody protecting and helping them either. So let's see, where is this story? All right, so this next clip is from New York. An off-duty police officer attacked a cell phone technician and has now been charged with a hate crime. Everybody's so mad.
It began with the most disturbing story involving a police detective on Long Island, now suspended and facing criminal charges, including a hate crime.
The cop, 40-year-old John Murphy of the Rockville Center Police Department in Suffolk County. The victim, a cell phone worker in his SUV when the detective approached him, damaged his car, and then let loose with a racial slur.
Now, that worker is black, and tonight he is talking to Long Island reporter Shantae Lands. She's live in Bushwick. Shantae?
Sandra and Bill, that field tech engineer works both on Long Island and, like you mentioned, also here in Bushwick. I just spoke with him. He said he's fearful while still on the job, but just had to get this powerful story out.
He started with his racial slurs, tirades, calling me out. Then he used the, you know what, right? The N-word, right? And at that point, he got back. He tore off my amber light.
It was a disturbing encounter that this cell phone technician says he was not expecting.
He reached his hand over my window, which was rolled down. And then he opened the door. So he was coming in the vehicle. I'm like, what are you doing?
Derek Onwer, who does not want his face shown out of fear of retaliation, is talking about this man, Rockville Center police officer John Murphy. The 40-year-old detective with 10-plus years on the force turned himself in and was charged with criminal mischief as a hate crime and aggravated harassment after Suffolk County police say Murphy harassed the man who's black on November 3rd while working in Murphy's Manorville neighborhood.
He used a racial slur and kicked the vehicle door, causing damage. He also ripped off a light on the car and threw it at the victim. The light broke and a piece hit the victim.
Suffolk County Police's hate crime task force says video shows Murphy harassing the worker. Murphy pleaded not guilty at his arraignment. He said nothing to reporters' questions while leaving the courthouse in Central Hyslop on Wednesday. Prosecutors say Murphy, who was off duty, identified himself as law enforcement officer and refused to look at the worker's credentials. Suffolk officials now condemning the officer's alleged behavior.
And I don't care what your status is in life. And this gentleman happened to be a detective in another police department in Rockville Center. But that doesn't excuse hate.
Now I'm more apprehensive. I've become the opposite of that. You know, being helpful, now I'm more fearful because I don't know the kind of intent somebody is coming to me with because of what he did to me.
Again, that officer suspended tonight. That cell tech said he wanted to tell this story because he feared that his story could happen again. In Bushwick, Brooklyn, Shantae Lands, Channel 7.
Oh, that's terrible. And I'm glad that he was able to come forward. That's scary when you guys work in the same place, especially with law enforcement. I need to turn down my air conditioning or the fan or something because I'm hot. So, and I need to use the restroom. So I'm going to run downstairs and do that. I'm going to show you guys a couple commercials again. I will be right back.
NBC's Sunday Night Movie will return following these messages. Now, the Martin Short press conference continues.
Yes.
I forgot what I was going to say. What's your question? Martin Short comes to NBC Tuesdays this fall.
At Geo, we've thought a lot about safety. That's why Geo Prism comes with standard dual airbags and available anti-lock brakes. In addition, it's equipped with a rugged steel safety cage. You see, we not only want to make accidents easier to avoid, we also want to make them easier to walk away from.
Call 1-800-GET-TO-KNOW and get to know Geo Prism with over 100 standard safety features.
Want to spice up your summer? Win a week at the WMMR Taco Bell Beach House and a chance to win a trip to Cancun, Mexico. Sponsored by Taco Bell. Now open late. To register, just stop by any participating Taco Bell restaurant or send a postcard with your name, address, and daytime phone number to WMMR Taco Bell Beach House, P.O. Box 1767, Philadelphia, PA 19106. From the station that reaches the beaches, 93.3 WMMR.
How can we McSatisfy you?
Well, I really love McDonald's cheeseburgers.
Well, how about a double cheeseburger?
Ooh, can we add some greens and some reds?
Fresh lettuce and tomatoes? You got it. It's called the Daily Double.
Must be double the price.
Nope, just 99 cents.
Are you kidding?
Just 99 cents.
You know I really love fries, too.
Okay, and a Coke for just $2.99.
Now that's a work of art.
The 99-cent Daily Double. What you want is what you get at McDonald's today.
Explosive secrets of clear and present danger on Entertainment Tonight.
Ernest Goes to Jail continues, starring Jim Varney.
Blindfold, monsieur?
No.
Cigarette?
No.
What do you want on your tombstone?
Pepperoni and cheese. Tombstone pizza, Pierre! What do you want on your tombstone? Real meat, real cheese. Much better tasting than pizzas made with imitation cheese. So what do you want on your tombstone? Napkin? No.
Looks like she's wearing fake. But it's not. It's Forty's mascara.
Oh, my shirt, so sexy. It hurts.
The lash is so big, your everyone lash looks like 3.
Sexy for my hat. What you think about
Lash is so big, you'll swear it's fake. But it's Forty's mascara from Ultima 2.
Sexy Toad is yours for just $12.50 with any Ultima 2 purchase at JCPenney.
I had a young couple from Sweden come into my store that was interested in buying a neon sign.
At mailboxes, etc. We can pretty much pack and ship anything.
The first question they asked me is, how do I get it home?
It was a very fragile item.
I made an instant decision to call mailboxes, etc. my buddy Norm.
The item arrived there with no problem whatsoever.
Norm's Norm. And he's just a cool guy.
Give me a break.
Depends on mailboxes, etc. It's not what we do, it's how we do it.
Mailboxes, etc. I don't think, is that still a thing? I don't think so. Okay, let's see. So coming out of the Philadelphia area, they have an update of the murder of PNB Rock, who was a rapper that was killed not that long ago. And it turns out he was actually set up by one of the employees at the restaurant. They delayed his food, so the other person that wanted to rob him knew he would still be there.
Welcome back, everyone. It's been 2 years since the murder of rap star PNB Rock in broad daylight. He was from Germantown, you may recall. He was shot and killed while eating lunch at a restaurant in Los Angeles. And now there's new exclusive video coming out that sheds light on what really happened that day. The news magazine True Crime News is devoting a special edition tonight to the never-before-seen videos. The host of the True Crime News, Anna Garcia, joins us live here right now at CBS News Philadelphia. So, Anna, tell us about this video, this surveillance video.
So it's got two components to it. One is the actual shooting, the murder. And what that video very clearly shows is that PNB Rock, Rakim Allen, never stood a chance because the shooter came in, put the gun up, asked for the jewels, and within seconds he was already shot. So the opportunity to hand over the $500,000 in jewelry wasn't even there. And PNB Rock was carrying a gun. He had it in the back of his waistband, but didn't even have enough time. The man is shot, and then the shooter, you can see him grabbing the jewelry off of him, also points the gun to the girlfriend who's having lunch with him, takes some of her jewelry, but she is not shot.
Now let's talk about the girlfriend, because at first, wasn't there kind of like an implication that maybe she was involved in some way on this?
The implication was she had posted a picture from Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles where this happened.
So the location, she's saying where we are.
Where we are, and she posts a picture of the food, the chicken and the waffles, not of them, not that she's with him. And then the shooting happens. But what we didn't know now that we do, what we didn't know then that we know now is that that photo had nothing to do with the murder of PNB Rock. The setup had started the minute he walked into the restaurant. He's wearing $500,000 in jewelry. There's someone there who spots him, does a fist bump. We see this on the video. He contacts someone else, a father and son team. And the food was delayed by almost 40 minutes. But it was just slow that day in the restaurant. So keep that in mind. She didn't get to post that video, that photo till much later. And it was those two that were responsible for the death of PNB. And the whole setup was just to steal all his jewelry.
Wow. Well, you've been following crime stories for years. I mean, this was your beat as a general assignment reporter. I mean, the show's now 2 months on the air.
Yeah.
I mean, what kind of response are you getting from folks?
Wonderful. We're here in Philadelphia talking about this incredible case. We need to set the record straight. She blamed herself. The girlfriend blamed herself for this murder, that it was all her fault. It wasn't her fault. We need to make sure that everyone knows that, because social media and other celebrities jumped all over her, blaming her. So it's important to have that discussion, to tell the entire story of a crime.
As opposed to news nuggets.
Yes.
This is what I always tell people. You don't know the full story until you know the full story.
Exactly. And today we can tell you the full story. It's the entire half-hour episode on tonight here on your station.
This is a great focus. And I mean, I know the folks here in Philadelphia because of the connection with Germany.
Yeah. So the girlfriend had absolutely nothing to do with his murder. I remember when a lot of people blamed her for posting the picture of the food that they were eating when it was the employee at the restaurant that actually set him up. And over jewelry, which he likely has insured. So just steal the jewelry. Why kill him? Oh, I got a burp. Oh, don't come out. Oh, it didn't. Okay, good. Senseless killing. So the next story comes out of New York City. So a man has been arrested and accused of choking a woman to death in New York City.
Woman was choked out outside of a hotel in Times Square.
All right, let's get right to the scene. And Fox 5's Linda Schmidt, who is our top story tonight at 5. Linda, wow.
Yeah, absolutely awful story here. We're talking about a 23-year-old woman. Police telling us that she was stalked by a man that she didn't know as she was walking on the sidewalk here. We are outside of the Plaza New York Times Square Hotel. This is just off of 8th Avenue. It is near Times Square, but it is actually in Midtown. And they are telling me that this man had a long criminal history. Go ahead and take a look at this video right here. This is from earlier today. Now, police are saying this is the suspect. He is 33-year-old Jaheim Warren of Prospect Park, New Jersey. He was arrested today in New Jersey by a task force that includes the NYPD and the U.S. Marshal Service. Now, police say that it was about 4:45 in the morning on October 29th when 23-year-old Leslie Torres was walking on West 46th Street by herself. Now, the suspect had been randomly following her. They did not know one another. Police say he attacked her and strangled her right on the sidewalk. Now, at this particular time, the young woman then was rushed to the hospital. Now, last week, she died, sadly, from her injuries. Now, police are also saying that this suspect has a long criminal history in New Jersey and that he served time in prison in New Jersey for drug dealing. But again, I mean, it's just an awful crime to think about. A 23-year-old woman just simply walking on the sidewalk here near Times Square, no matter what time of day, and randomly is attacked and strangled. Back inside to you.
Yeah, boy, brutal. All right, thanks, Linda.
Well, some shocking video now coming.
Yeah, it's, I mean, even if they did know each other, it would have been horrible. But the fact that they didn't know each other at all, and he just went up and killed her is terrifying and absolutely horrible. I feel like stranger homicides are up where they don't know each other, but that's just my feelings. I can't say that I can back that up with data, but that's how I feel. I would like to see if I can find some data that supports that, because there's a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of crime, it seems like, and I mean violent crime that I think is between people that don't know each other. You work 2 blocks from there, that's extra scary. Tash, you got to be safe. Carry a taser with you or something. Like, that's it's so scary to think about, because there's always someone around you in New York, you know. It's not like in other areas where, like, you know, somebody shouldn't be in your space. You don't really have personal space in New York City. All right, so moving to Atlanta, there was shooting at a Sweet 16 party, and the sentencing happened today. Not
3 young men.
Not today. This happened yesterday.
And will spend a long time in prison in connection with the shooting deaths of 2 teens.
This afternoon, a Douglas County judge sentenced the three for last year's stunning Sweet 16 birthday party mass shooting in Douglasville. Fox 5's Kevin Stewart was in the courtroom and has the very latest for us tonight. Kevin?
Hey guys, the judge who was presiding over this case has been a prosecutor or a judge in Douglas County for more than 40 years, and he says this was the worst crime in the county's history, and for that, he threw the book at those guys.
I'm sorry.
Tears filled Judge Bo McClain's courtroom as he prepared to sentence 20-year-old Timothy Coleman, 18-year-old Kingsman Cotman, and 23-year-old Takel Beverly Smart in connection with the death of 15-year-old Samuel Moon and 14-year-old Anjanae Hill.
Y'all aren't men. Y'all are cowards. Y'all think y'all hard. Y'all think y'all thugs. Y'all think y'all gangsters because you picked up a gun. That's easy. You don't get any cool points for shooting women and children.
A jury did not return murder convictions back in September, but instead convicted the three on gang and aggravated assault charges.
How was no one responsible for murdering Samuel? After 2.5 weeks and 20 months, how is nobody guilty?
The tragedy began back in March of 2023. Shooters gunned down unintended targets, Moon and Hill, in the street at a Sweet 16 party in Douglasville. Prosecutors say this started over a social media post, which led to a gang dispute. Homes were shot up and 8 more children now know what it's like to be shot. A bullet hit Jeremiah Johnson in the chest.
Laying on that ground, the dirt, bleeding from your chest, the pain of being in the hospital.
But despite pleas for mercy on these men,
Kingston is not about that life.
Judge McClain made it clear.
This is not something you should do, and this is not the place you should do it.
And with that, sentenced Cotman to 320 years, Coleman to 320 years, and Smart 20 years. For the families, delay is not denial. The Cotman and Coleman sentences were akin to murder sentences.
Some 320 years, I'm definitely satisfied with.
All right, you may remember several people took plea deals earlier in the year, including Michael Williams back in the summer. He pled guilty to 2 counts of murder and gang charges. Reporting live in Douglasville from the Douglas County Courthouse, Kevin Stewart.
Holy crap, 320 years. You don't see that very often, not even in, homicide charges. I'm glad. Good for that judge, because they definitely deserve that. All right, so moving on to my happy stories for the day. So the first story is in British Columbia, going back up there. So a family was remodeling their home and they found a surprise in their wall, and it wasn't anything that they had to call the police about, thankfully.
I was originally on my ladder working above this door, just working my way along.
It's how most home renovations go, one project at a time. But this particular job stopped Connor Nicey in his tracks.
I couldn't believe what they put in here.
Knowing his partner would feel the same, he grabbed his phone, capturing the discovery.
And when I watched the video, I just remember thinking, what the heck? We're ready for the big reveal.
Together, they decided to explore a little further. And it did not disappoint.
Can't make this up.
115 stuffed animals stuffed between 5 studs in the corner of the garage.
They used it as insulation. There's no question about that.
They all date back to the 1980s, early 90s.
This one was smushed up against the plastic.
Each one remarkably well preserved.
Like, we found some weird things in this house, but that has to be the weirdest.
And so the couple decided to share it with the rest of the world, posting their find to TikTok, where it has since received more than 5.4 million views. But it was the comments, like this one, saying, "OMG, my duck, I would 100% buy it off you for my daughter, please," that helped determine the next steps.
7 or 8, I think, I've shipped off so far. Some to as far as the UK. And we had a bunch go down to the States yesterday, and I'm shipping off another one tomorrow even.
God, thank you for sunshine. For just the cost of shipping, the couple is now reuniting people with their favorite childhood stuffed animals. The duck was the first to find its new home.
And she sent us a message back saying that she was just crying.
which is really cool to kind of have that full circle.
The first one that I recognized from my childhood was the doodle bear.
What was once insulation, now warming people's hearts. And while there are still plenty of stuffies up for grabs, the couple is looking forward to getting back to their renos. Not sure what they'll find next.
After what we found here, I won't rule anything out.
Kylie Stanton, Global News.
I wonder why. I wonder why they use stuffed animals. Maybe the kid had a bunch of stuffed animals and the kid grew up and they decided to use it as insulation and they didn't want to throw it away. I don't know. I have questions. But that's very nice of them to ship it to people. All right, so now it is time for my favorite part.
A Rockland County man.
So it's not always furry animals, but I do have 2 animal stories for you today. The first one is an alligator that was found in New York.
A Rockland County man stepping outside for some fresh air made a cold-blooded discovery. As Tony Aiello explains, it was an alligator trying to warm up in the sun.
The Minneseago Creek in West Haverstraw is known to harbor the occasional eel. But Thursday, when George Barbera stepped outside on a break from work,
You look down and what do you see?
I saw a little alligator. So
Not so little.
Nah, not really. Once we got him on the land, he wasn't as small as I thought he was. I've seen some pretty crazy things. I just thought it was really cool.
And pretty cold. The critter barely budged from his sunny spot when arriving officers offered it a chunk of meat hooked to a fishing pole.
He just went around in a circle and came right back to the sunlight right here.
Eventually, the alligator was snagged by a catch pole and turned over to the Hudson Valley Humane Society.
We could tell that he was cold because he was in a subdued kind of mood, you know?
Anne Marie Gaudio says the gator has warmed up and is doing well. You need a license to own one in New York, but some people buy them in Pennsylvania only to realize they bit off more than they could chew as the gators grow.
I think he was dumped. I do think he was dumped.
Boy, leaving that alligator in the creek, it seems like a form of cruelty.
It absolutely is. It's called abandonment under New York State Agriculture and Markets laws.
Late Friday, the juvenile male was transported to a licensed reptile sanctuary in Ulster County. He could live another 50 years. See you later, alligator. Tony Aiello, CBS News, New York.
Oh, you gotta love reporters with their puns. Yeah, I mean, he is a reptile, so they do hibernate. When it's cold, they just kind of sit there. When water freezes over, they'll just stick their noses out and just sleep all winter. So it makes sense that he was sluggish because it's cold up there. Poor guy. I'm glad he was found and that he's, in a warm place. Okay, so the next story is going to be the last story, our feel-good animal story of the day.
Oh, God. We just moved into the house. We looked out the back window and he was just sitting in the corner of the garden staring at the house. Every day I would wake up, open the curtains, and he'd be waiting. It's awkward. Hi, I'm Jen, and this is Dudley's story for Geo Beats. I've just come downstairs. As soon as we moved in, this cat started appearing in the garden every day. You all right, mate? He'd be there sort of midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, just on the back doorstep. Hello. I decided to go and knock on some doors on the road behind us, which is where he used to come from. And funnily enough, the first door I knocked on was his family. He said, "Oh, that's actually our cat." So I said, "Well, don't worry, he's not hurt or anything, but we've just moved in behind you and he's just always on our doorstep and we were just really worried about him. But if he has a loving home, that's absolutely fine, just as long as he's okay." They apologised and said, "Hope he's not a nuisance," but, we sort of just left it at that. I've never been a cat lover, always been really allergic to cats and dogs and never really lived with any animals before. Bye. So I wasn't really keen on making friends with this cat. I just wanted to get rid of him. We used to sort of try and shoo him away. We tried everything really to discourage him from coming into our garden, but he just wouldn't accept it. Nothing would put him off. He's absolutely drenched. We asked his family, and they said that he had a cat flap and he could come and go whenever he wanted. So it was completely his choice to sit on our back doorstep in the snow. He could have gone home into a lovely warm house, but it was always his choice to be outside our house.
I mean, that is a rose bush.
It took a while for me to warm to him. I would say for the best part of about 5 years, it was him just being in the garden.
Why are you sitting there like that, Poppet?
And then I think as the years went on, I just was so curious about this little creature that had decided we were his friends in some way before we even really knew it. Every time I'd sit in the garden, he'd come and want to sit on my knee and cuddle up to me, and it just sort of went from there.
Having a cuddle.
The more affection I started to show him, the more he would show back, and it just went from there. And before I knew it, I'd fallen in love with him.
Leave us be.
He didn't have any ties to this house at all. The funny thing is, the previous owners had left quite a few things, and we actually found a painting of a black and white cat in the garage that had just been left. And it must have been one of their previous pets, but it just seemed really strange, the fact that there was this random painting of a black and white cat.
They're outside, the two of us. Although, not just the two of us. Always here.
We wrote his owners a letter and said that although we completely respected that he was their pet, that if there was ever a situation where they wanted to rehome him, we would really happy to take him. And then I had a lovely text message from his owner at the time to say they'd loved him all his life, they'd had him from being a kitten, and he'd always remained theirs, but they were happy for us to just continue our special friendship. So we just left it at that.
Hi!
And then March 2020, just before the UK went into lockdown, I had a text message from his owner to say that their circumstances were changing and they didn't know what was going to happen with the house, and they didn't want to have to move Dudley away from an area that he'd known his whole life. So would we like to adopt him? And I instantly burst into tears and sort of threw the phone at my husband. He read the message and there was never really a discussion. It was just, yes, he's going to come and be part of our family.
Come on then, let's go inside. Come on.
There's something about Dudley that feels like he was either here before or knows a lot more than he lets on. He looks at me so intently. It's almost like he's seeing me in a way that maybe other animals or maybe even some people don't. The really strange thing is that I live with Dudley, who is the fluffiest cat in the world, and my allergies are absolutely fine. I'm still allergic to other cats. So if I go to my sister's house, I still have to take antihistamines and have my asthma inhaler, but not with Dudley. I really do think that there's something about him that's pure magic. He completely changed my heart when it comes to cats. I always say what an empty existence it was before.
Oh, that cat really chose her. That's adorable. Kind of like my cat chose me. The cat distribution system is real, and it will come for you someday. Oh, that was sweet. I love that. I'm really glad that they were able to adopt him after their owners fell on some bad luck. Well, that is going to be it for me today. I am planning on being back tomorrow, probably around 1:30 on Kick to do Love After Lockup. I appreciate all you guys that were able to join me last minute because I didn't post anything until today. I hope everybody has a great Saturday, and I hope I will see you again tomorrow. Bye, everybody. Love y'all.